You're watching the NWR Virtual Investor Conference, May 2020. We've got Tesoro Resources on the line right now. Tesoro Resources is focused on exploring and developing gold projects in South America, particularly in Chile, where it holds two high-quality gold exploration projects with district-scale footprints. Its El Zorro Gold Project has returned thick, high-grade intercepts, demonstrating potential that it is an emerging major gold deposit. Drilling is underway and Tesoro expects to deliver a maiden resource estimate for El Zorro this year. Zeff Reeves is the Managing Director of Tesoro. He is a geologist with over 20 years of experience in the resources sector, ranging from greenfields exploration, discovery, definition and feasibility, construction, production, all the way through to closure. He was most recently Managing Director of ASX-listed Corpore Metals, which had a number of development and operational projects in Chile. He has also held senior management positions with Cleveland Mining and Ashburton Minerals, developing projects in Brazil. Over to you, Zeff.
Great, thank you. Thanks for the introduction and welcome everybody to listening to the Tesoro story. Thought I'd just whet your appetites with a list of drill holes that have come out of the El Zorro project that have reported over 100 gram metre intercepts. We're finding that El Zorro is producing some exceptional wide drilling results to date. We're drilling into what is looking to be a very well mineralised system, and these are the sorts of results that we've been able to produce. It's quite phenomenal that we've actually been lucky enough to report drilling intercepts like this out of El Zorro. So just a quick little bit of background on Tesoro. Tesoro was established in 2017 with the strategy to acquire and develop gold projects within the coastal belt of Chile. The reason we like the coastal belt of Chile is for a number of reasons. One is it's relatively underexplored despite its easy access. One of the main reasons for that is the nature of the concession holdings in the coastal belt. It's often held by many small ground holders, and it's very, very difficult to get a district scale footprint. So what we've managed to do is consolidate ground and get a district scale footprint over the two projects that we're involved in. And the other reason we like the coastal belt is that access to infrastructure. We're not in the high Andes. We can go exploring all year round. We're close to roads, population centres, and the ocean. So all the ingredients are there where it's not inconceivable for a junior explorer such as Tesoro to take a project through from exploration right through development and into production. And I guess that's what our real aspiration is for Tesoro going forward. Our key focus is the El Zorro project, and I'll talk mostly on El Zorro today, but we are involved with another project called the Espina project just south of Santiago. But El Zorro is where we've had our, I guess, our best exploration success to date. There's certainly a deposit emerging fairly rapidly at El Zorro, and we're very focused on getting that drilled and get a resource out of El Zorro during this calendar year. So before December this year, we're hoping to, contingent upon results, to get a resource out of El Zorro. This picture is as an overview of the Coquetas prospect, which has been the focus of our work at El Zorro. You can see some tracks and roads there, which are basically the drill pad access roads and drill pads. In the middle of the slide, there's a bit of an excavation, which is an old area where the Picaneros put a glory hole down basically to extract high grade out of some of the lake veins that cross-cut the host lithology. But essentially, Coquetas is this ridge line in the foreground, and this is looking north. And essentially, this whole ridge is mineralised at surface, and we've now hit mineralisation down at over 250 metres depth. So the rocks that host the gold at our Zorro occur in this ridgeline. We've now mapped them all the way up into these hills up the back, but it sort of gives you an idea of the topography. Fairly favourable stripping ratio you would expect to kick off any pit in the future. No population, no trees, lots of outcrop, so geology sticking out of the ground everywhere, and a really good, easy place to go exploring. So where is our Zorro? And as I mentioned previously, it's very well located in terms of where you'd like to put a gold mine. It's located in the region 3 of Chile, and I guess more importantly, it's only 140 kilometres by road from Copiapó, close to the Copiapó airport, which is an hour's flight north of Santiago, and it's near the port of Caldera. So our team actually stays in Caldera when we're in the field. Caldera is a town and port of about 7,500 people, and from Caldera to the project is straight up the Pan American Highway about 50 kilometres, and then inland on a well-maintained gravel road for 10 kilometres. So really easy. Our guys can go in and out of there on a daily basis. Copiapó is a mining orientated city. Around 150,000 odd people. You can think of it as a Kalgoorlie times 5 or 6. So drilling contractors, assay labs, other major mining companies such as Lundin Mining, who operate the Candelaria copper mine just outside of Copiapó, Kinross, who operate Maricunga. They've all got offices in Copiapó, and so it's a well-skilled mining workforce based there. In terms of and both of our projects are structured similarly in terms of the acquisition of the projects. Essentially, Tesoro is earning into our Zorro by a commitment to exploration. Currently, we've accelerated the ownership of our Zorro to 70%. That has one small hurdle to overcome, which is the shareholder approval of the issue of 5 million shares to the vendor. And I guess the rationale behind accelerating towards 70% is, one, we really like what we're seeing at our Zorro in terms of the recent assay results, the scale it's starting to offer. And two, accelerating to 70% essentially took away time and an exploration spend of $1.5 million US to be able to do, which was in the original contract to acquire up to that 70% ownership. So instead we've replaced that with an issue of shares to the vendor and the payment as a reimbursement to historic exploration spend to the vendor of US 50,000. So we think that's a very good outcome. It aligns the vendor with the company and our other shareholders. And as I said, it takes away that time pressure for us to spend that money. And we can go about our business in a methodical approach without having to unnecessarily commit to exploration expenditure if we don't think we need to do it. The agreement allows for us to earn up to 80% of the project by delivering a feasibility study, and the remaining 20% we've got the first right of refusal over that 20%, and it's also subject to a contribute or dilute mechanism. In terms of the project, there's a map of the project outline. I suppose the important thing to mention on this slide is one is that we've classified the El Zorro gold mineralising system as an intrusive related gold system. They haven't been described in Chile before, but we're almost 100% sure that that's what this is. And I suppose the other really important thing is when we got to El Zorro, the only gold mineralisation that there was known was at Caquetas. As you can see from that satellite photo, there's lots of outcrop that those changing colours of different rock types. So our team's been able to get on the ground, do a lot of really good base geology work and map the whole project. And what we've discovered through that mapping and through a lot of surface sampling and channel sampling in those outcrops is we've got gold and the host rocks occurring in quite a large area from Coquetus up to Torre Blanco, another 2.5 kilometres north. To the west at Drone Hill, we see repeats. We've also got outcropping gold mineralisation down at Buzzard. So all of a sudden we started to see this system emerging, so we expanded our ground holding out to that, what is the yellow outline now. And I think what the really exciting thing is in terms of district scale and regional scale is the fact that these IRG systems typically have clusters of deposits. And for example, one of the most well-known IRG systems in the world is Tintina, and that is well over 100 million ounce endowed district. So we're pretty well first guys on the ground here looking for these things. We think we know what controls them now, and we're very excited about what we're seeing on a district scale at our Zorro. So as I mentioned previously, on Coquetus, that's where the focus of our drilling has been, and we've now drilled 27 diamond drill holes into Coquetus. And I suppose just to take a step back, and one of the reasons we've had such good success since listing the company in February this year is that prior to listing, Tesoro had raised just over 3.5 million Australian dollars since 2017. And a majority of that money was spent on exploration at our Zorro, and that included the drilling of 16 diamond drill holes. And I guess what that 16 diamond drill holes did was open our eyes to the scale of the mineralising system and what we've got at Coquetus. Every single one of those first 16 holes hit arguably mineable widths of gold mineralisation. And we achieved a number of 100-gram metre intercepts. There's a list of significant intercepts on the right-hand side there, and I think you know, you'd have to agree that some of those gold intercepts are quite exceptional, and the hit rate that we're getting, I mean, it's more or less 100% of our drill holes have hit gold mineralisation. And that's a testament to our geological team and the guys that we use as consultants to help us build an exploration model that works. We're seeing the fruits of that work prior to listing off the back of our first drill hole since listing in February was hole 17, and that's probably the best hole that we've drilled to date. So that went into what we call now the CC 500 structure. And it's fairly typical of the mineralisation that we're seeing. So the host rocks are what we call the Zorro tonalite. That's this pale pink colour, which is underneath these red lenses, and it trends northwest. It's been hit by northwest trending faults. Those faults have caused a lot of deformation into that Zorro tonalite and basically pumped it full of gold-bearing fluids. So as using hole 17 as an example, we've drilled across the CC 500 fault zone, if you like. It has a broad intercept of 86.45 metres at 2.29 grams, but it has a higher grade section as we pass through that fault zone of 23 at 7.2. So the mineralisation, essentially that entire zone is mineralised from surface at greater than 0.2 grams per tonne gold. So we have this large lower grade halo, and then we have these higher grade lodes developing along each of these CC structures. So in this round of drilling, we've focused on the CC 500, and we see that actually having essentially quite a few ounces in it. But we're seeing repeats of those structures up and down the Zorro tonalite at Coquetus, and we've tested also this one here, the CC 400, and also the CC 200 down in the south. And we like the look of the material coming out of those holes, and we think they've got the potential to add significant ounces to the Coquetus prospect. So as it stands, Coquetus is mineralised for about 750, 800 metres north to south. And each one of these lenses is around about 180 to 200 metres long, typically 50 to 100 metres wide, and they overlap. And we see that lower grade halo with these higher grade zones within it. So as of yesterday, we've received assays for holes 17 to 22. We have the rest of the holes, so from 23 to hole 27 remain outstanding. So really the next steps for us is to wait for those assays to come in. We'll get all that information into 3D and model it up, and then look at what our next phase of drilling will look like in terms of infill, testing additional CC structures, and also extensional drilling north and south based off all the information that we've gained from, at the end of the day, 27 holes that we've drilled. So we're fairly optimistic that this is emerging as a fairly significant gold system. There's certainly a gold deposit there, and drilling will just tell how big that will be over time. So this is a fairly schematic section through hole 17, and it shows you these northwest faults are the controlling faults that are the CC faults, and they cause damage out into the Zorro tonalite, which causes these mineralised zones to occur. And what we're also seeing is as we get closer to these faults, there's even good gold mineralisation into the host sediments, and we got quite a good intercept into the footwall sediments out of hole 17. So again, adding more scope to increase tonnages and potential ounces in the Coquetus mineralised zone. So far, we've been able to define mineralisation from surface. We've drilled it to 300 metres deep. Again, it's open in all directions, and we've got a number of these high-grade structures that we need to continue testing and also build on from where we know they're well mineralised. On a district scale, and I mentioned before, when we first got to our Zorro, we only knew about Coquetus, and we got on the ground and did a lot of geological mapping with some really good outcrop exposures where the geological team can really understand the rocks and what the controlling structures are. And I guess the key thing is that wherever we saw the host rocks interacting with the right structural controls, we had gold mineralisation. So at Toro Blanco, we've only done preliminary work up there, but results are encouraging to start with, and we've got another 2 kilometres of strike north of Coquetus to do work on there. Drone Hill, we saw some significant results come out of, and also down at Buzzard, which is hosted in a slightly different rock type, but returned some very good initial surface sampling results, such as 26 metres at 1.6. So we've still got a lot of surface sampling assays to come back from Drone Hill and Buzzard, a little bit more out of Coquetus and Coquetus South, and that'll start to form a picture of what I guess the entire system looks like, and what the next stages of work for each of those targets are, whether it's more channel sampling to shore up drill targets, or whether we've got enough information there to warrant going testing a couple of those targets into the future. This slide here is quite a good overview, looking to the northeast from across Coquetus, Drone Hill and Toro Blanco. So you can see Coquetus down here is a ridge line that comes up off those valley floors. It sits high, about 60 to 80 metres above the valley there. Nearly that entire ridge line is mineralised, that we've delineated from our controlled channel sampling. So using a 0.2 gold cutoff, that whole ridge is mineralised, and we've been able to trace those Zorro tonalite rocks all the way up to Toro Blanco, up to the top of this hill here. And as I said, Drone Hill's another repeat of those same rocks interacting with those same structures, just across the other side of this valley. So what have we got to come? We've completed those 11 drill holes now. We're awaiting assays for another 6 holes now. We've just received 2 more that were announced yesterday, which had some more exceptional gold results. We've got additional channel samples to come, a few more to finish off, a few more results to come in from Coquettus from the channel sampling, Drone Hill and Buzzard channel sampling. So we've really got the potential there to find repeats of those high grade zones, and also at Coquettus to sort of triple the footprint of that existing high grade zone. We do have a metallurgical sample that we've selected, and that's in the lab as we speak, and I would expect we'll start to see some information come off that work towards the middle of the year, perhaps late June. And we're really pushing hard for a resource, a maiden resource to come out of Coquettus this year during 2020, contingent on results, of course. So really next things that you'll see in the market will be the additional drill results, and then some plans around our next phase of drilling. We'd really like to be back on the ground after assessing those results, drilling again in July as quickly as possible. So, you know, Chile's a fantastic place to work. We can work there all year round. We're fully permitted to do whatever we like in terms of our exploration work and push on. So it's going to be a really exciting rest of the year.
In the interest of time, we've got some questions to ask you.
Yep.
I'll have to just fire away. Can you speculate on potentially how big a gold system you're sitting on in El Zorro?
Oh, look, I think our aspirations for Coquettus initially would be, you know, somewhere between 500,000 and 1 million ounces as an initial resource if things keep going the way they are. You know, obviously the drilling's been very successful to date. Once we put things in 3D and putting some geology and those grades in there, we can start to see what sort of volumes potentially could be there. Mm-hmm. But you know, I'll qualify that's all contingent on results and drilling.
We'll be looking forward to seeing more drilling results over the coming months, but how much more drilling do you think you need to do before you can provide an estimated mineral resource?
I think at Coquettus, and again, it depends on how big it's going to be. If we start seeing these repeats of these structures going, we'll obviously have to do some more drilling into them. But I think another 4,000 to 5,000 metres of drilling would probably just about do it for an initial resource. Right.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Zeff, on the call.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for joining.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for sticking around. We've got Kalamazoo up next. Stay tuned. They are focused on gold exploration in the highly prospective Victorian goldfields. Bit of interest there. Stay on the line. We'll be back in a couple of minutes' time.